Can't expect that to some extent.
Yeah. Can't be perfect. Are the Jews perfect?
No, for sure not. Yeah, listen, we also have, if you kill someone more than once every 70 years, there's a lot of things that like it's hard even to understand. Like Ben Sarah doesn't seem like if some other culture had such a rule, we would be hard pressed to justify it, right? That some kid who's 12 years old getting killed because of his future. So it's very hard to judge based just on your own sense.
The better thing is not to judge.
Right. For sure. Okay, so we're on Nun Hey Amid Aleph, 2 lines up in the narrow lines. Bo miname Rav Sheshes. Ayvikecham mabal ha-behema. Mahu. Ayvikecham that's ba'an ha-behema. What's the din? Takala v'kalam bi'inan v'hacha takala ika kalam leka. The Mishnah had said 2 justifications for the rule that a behema that is part of a revia, part of a other being born, a behema gets killed. One was either mishum takala, because this was the michshol. This animal caused a Jew to fall to become an Oived Avera, so therefore the animal also gets killed. Or kolain, because it's an embarrassment for the Yid that this animal should be walking around. They will point and say the Yid got killed because of this behavior. But if it's a guy instead of a Yid, if it's an Oived Kechavim, then there's takala. You cause the guy. The guy is usher and it's part of arayis, and a guy is mechuyev in arayis, and therefore he caused the guy to sin. But kol leka, they don't have the same bizayin that you're going to point to the animal and say that the guy got killed of it. Either that the guy are not mavuyish about it, or we don't talk about them. But that doesn't apply to an Oived Kechavim. So maybe in that case, the animal would not get killed. Or maybe we say no. All you need is takala, and here there's takala that caused the animal, because the guy to sin, therefore the animal gets killed. Amar of Sheshes, Tnisua. I'll bring you a raya from a Bryce. I'll bring you a raya. Ma ilana she'ein oichlin, ve'ein shoysin, ve'ein merichin, of tree, which is Atzei Ashera, a tree that was nevad by Oivdei Kechavim, and the animal and the tree doesn't eat and doesn't drink and doesn't breathe. Amr Torah Hishaches Sroif V'Kala, you have to destroy it. Halu Bala Adam Takala Al Yadan, since the Oived Kechavim was meshabed this tree, therefore the tree gets destroyed. Hamitah Chaveri Midarche Chaim L'Darche Misa. A animal who an Oived Kechavim was born, that this is obviously a terrible. Now it's hard to the Mefarshim try to understand what is this Kal V'Chomer, right? Being Oived Kechavim seems like the worst Avera. It seems like the apex Avera, the paradigm. And now we're saying a Kal V'Chomer is certainly, if a tree gets destroyed, certainly an animal that caused someone to go midarche chayim l'darche misa, alachas kama v'kama, certainly. So there's a certain, but we can understand. It's certainly more degrading. We could, I guess, in a way, it's more understandable that a guy is Oived Avos Kechavim. He misunderstands. He makes a mistake. But to be born on a behema is totally he's making himself into a behema. He's doing something that's beyond the pale. So certainly on that, you would have to destroy the animal. So that's the Ella me'ata frekta gemara me'ata avkecham mishtach v'lebehemta ititzer amigdala. So the Gemara says, if that's going to be your raya, from the fact that you're saying that a tree gets destroyed, certainly the animal will get destroyed, even though it's only a takala by an Oived Kechavim. What about the fact that an Oived Kechavim that bows down to a behema, if he wasn't Oived a tree, the only thing that the Torah said, the din that you have to go destroy the Asherah is by a tree. But a Oived Kechavim that bows down to a behema, the behema should also have to be destroyed because of that. And Zak the Gemara, so the Chayra, that disproves your contention that because the tree is destroyed, therefore the animal should also be destroyed, because the truth of the matter is, you don't have to kill a behema when the Oived Kechavim bows down to it. It only applies to a tree. So no, there's a different reason. Mia kabid the Israeli also Oived Kechavim aser. So no, the reason why you can't destroy a behema that a Oived Kechavim bowed down to is because we know that that's the rule of Gabi Yisrael also. If Yisrael were to be Oived a behema, that would also not make it aser. It's a complicated Rashi about this, and it's a Gemara in Tmura. I remember learning it in Brisk. The Torah says there's a pasuk that says that a behema that was nevad cannot be brought as a carbon, and the Gemara over there asks, it says mashki Yisrael, and anything that's not able to be eaten can't be brought as a carbon. So what do you need a pasuk to tell you that something that was nevad can't be brought as a carbon? Already it has a chiyuv that it has to be niskal. The behema has to be destroyed. It's asam hana. So in any case, so it must be that for the fact that the Torah has to aser for bring board, it means that it's not mechuyev to be destroyed, or it's not, doesn't have a chiyuv hana. So Zak Gemara, Yisrael gufa litza midi hava aravia. It says, listen, so when the Torah says that a behema that was nevad can't be brought as a carbon, it must be referring to a behema that was nevad, but you can't give it a din of skila because it was incapable of. There was only one aid. It was not something that was possible to. You weren't able to carry out the execution. So, but that's what we're saying. Yisrael gufa litza midi haveravia. That would be the retort. Amar Abaya. So Abaya says you can't compare. Well, you want to bring a rye from that which a tree is destroyed. Zek kleinim rubav is zek kleinim muad. I'm sorry. We're saying you're trying to bring from the fact that a behema which was nirva is destroyed. We want to say that the behema has to be destroyed, even though it's only takala from the fact that it's not destroyed when Oived Kechavim is mishtachave, when it bows down to a behema. It's not comparable. Obviously, a revia, when someone is born a behema, that's a bigger kolan. It's a bigger embarrassment, and it's less of embarrassment. So there really is Rav Sheshus was trying to say that even when you just have takala, that's enough, but you bring a raya from a case where there is when someone is born a behema, even though it's an Oived Kechavim, maybe there is a kolan there, and so therefore there's a difference between a kolan of being born a behema and being mishtacha to a behema. There's obviously a bigger embarrassment when someone's born a behema and the behema is there, as opposed to being Oived Kechavim. The person does not have the same embarrassment about that. But what about the Elon? We said the Atzei Ashera. We said that if someone's Meshabed himself is Oived Elon, it has to get destroyed. And over there, you can't say that chiluk between a Revia. We're saying that it does get destroyed. You're trying to justify the fact that when someone is Mishtachavet to a Behema, it doesn't get destroyed. But if a Oived Kechavim were to bow down, were to be Reveya Behema, it should get destroyed, even though it's just Takala, because there's also killing, but by Elon there's no kalain at all. Right? The behemoth doesn't feel any the tree doesn't feel any embarrassment. Is still destroyed. So tomorrow, Baal Chaim Karminen, the Chatzachwana what says you can't compare. It's very easy to destroy a tree. There's no downside to it. It's just a tree. But the Torah was more chas on a behemoth. There's such a thing as Tzar Baal Chaim. We don't destroy an animal needlessly. right? There's a mitzvah not to cause pain to an animal. So even though the truth, we say that we destroy a tree because of just takalo, even without embarrassment, that doesn't mean that we'll necessarily also destroy a behema that Eved Kechavim was born, because the behemoth, there's some downside to destroying it. So maybe just having takala would not be enough. So that's the way. That's the conclusion of Abaya. Rava Amar Torah behemoth nenes me'avera tiharik. The Gemara says, Rava says a different chiluk. He says by a behemoth, he says that which Rav Sheshes asked about a behemoth, and he learned from a to the conclusion that there's some level of koloin as well as takala. Rava says no, it's only takala in a chanami when the Ovid Kechavim is born a behema. But since the behema is a participant in the act, right? You can't learn from a tree. A tree is just standing there, and the Ovid Kechavim was over the tree. So we destroy the tree. But and we can learn out from there to a behema, which is nanis. A behema participates in the act of bia. When a adam is bought, there's a hana to it, so therefore he gets killed. Basha enkein, that's not when the Ovid Kechavim is mishavid himself, when he's Ovid behema, that it doesn't get killed, because over there's no hana for the behema. Either the tree gets destroyed, even though there's no hana. In a kanami, that we can be mechalik between the Ovid Kechavim who's breveya behema and he's mishtachava to a behema, because the behema gets killed by revia because the behema has hana. And even though when an Ovid Kechavim bows to a tree, we also destroy the tree, but then, like we said before, there's no downside to destroying a tree. There's no tzabal echayim. Toshma. Dabar acha shaloite behema iveres b'shuk v'yom zui sheniskol ploni al yad. So now we're back to the original question: Do we say that just the takala itself is enough to cause a behema to be destroyed? So bring a right from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said a second reason: a behema shouldn't go b'shuk v'yom zui sheniskol ploni al yad. My love with the sefer takala v'kolin. So the second case of the Mishnah, right? Now we're understanding. A behema shouldn't go in the shuk. So the second part, first of all, that they're saying that behema will go in the shuk, and then also we're saying the second thing, zu sheniskal ploni al yada. That's expressing the idea of takala, that this caused this person to be niskal. It's not that this is zui that did the avera, which is the embarrassing part. We're saying zu, there certainly includes the embarrassment, but also zu sheniskal ploni yada, which is takala. So med the sefer takala v'kolim, reish takala b'loy kolim. So from the fact that the sefer of the Mishnah mentions both takala and kolim, the first statement of the Mishnah, which was just takala, right? It said, elafisha badon takala al yada. So vice does that mean, hey, it must be talking about just the case of where there's only takala b'loy kolim. What's that case? So this is a rioter of Sheshes that Ovid Kechavim ala behema is going to be chayiv. So sefer takala v'kolin. Maybe the sefer is talking about takala v'kolin. Reisha kamashmalon v'afilu kolim b'loy takala nami v'chavi. Even if it's just kolin without takala, is also chayiv. V'hechidam Yisrael halba ala behema b'shegig. Maybe it's coming to tell you the din of Yisrael halba ala behema b'shegig. It means even though the pashtus, when it says ba takala al yadai, it's mashma that it's talking about takala, but you can also, according to this, maybe you could reinterpret it. You could say when it says ba takala al yadai, it means that we look at this and we say this behema caused a yid, or what we're suggesting, a guy wouldn't. I'm saying a yid who's baal behema b'shagi, where he wasn't niskal, the yid's not going to get killed, but there was a kohen that's going to be embarrassing to him, that everyone's going to point at this behema and say he was born the behema.
It's going to be takol or
It's going to be Colin. Yeah, that's we're switching over. I'm sorry. It's going to be
Colin.
Takala. Dafilu Colin. Right. I'm sorry. Hakamashmalan. Reisha Hakamashmalan. Dafilu Colin below Takala. Even though the Mishnah literally used the word Takala, but Takala al Yadai, we're switching it over and saying it's referring to Colin. Yeah, because the Sefer mentions both Colin and Takala according to this shot. So what would be the point of mentioning just Takala? So we're saying it's talking about Colin below Takala. Veichidami, and what's that case? You saw Abba Behem B'Shayg. Ukadaboy Rav Hamnun, and this is Takas. This is a upshlag of Rav Sheshes. So we wanted to say Rav Sheshes could prove his point of that when the Oived Kechavim is born a behema, the animal gets destroyed, and that's what our Mishnah, when it says the Reisha of Takala below Takala, and that's talking about Oived Kechavim. So we're saying, no, maybe it's talking about a different thing. It's talking about Colin below Takala, and it's talking about Yisrael Haba al B'Shayg, that the animal gets destroyed. And this is Taka the way Rav Hamnuna understands the Mishnah, not like Rav Sheshes. Because the by Rav Hamnuna, Yisrael Haba al B'Shayg Mao, Takala v'Kolin B'Ina and V'Hacha Kolin Ika Takala Leka. When, like we just said, Yisrael that goes on B'Hem B'Shayg, there's embarrassment, but there's no Takala because the Yid doesn't get killed. Maybe Colin is enough. Rabbi Yosef Toshma, I'll bring you a raya. A girl who's over 3 years old. Miskadeshes b'bia. Her bia is considered a bia, and therefore, if her father marries her off, and the husband who does yid, he's mekadesh her with bia, that bia is considered a bia when she's over shalosh. Yavam kana. Another thing will be that if a yavam is born a yavama who's over 3 years old, since that bia is a bia, it will be a kinyan. If she was married with a yibum or with a marriage when she's over mikadeshes bia, someone who's born is going to be chayiv al shis because the bia was a bia.
Because she's under bas mitzvah?
Yeah. Oh, because we're talking about. We're talking about two specific cases. Normally, a woman cannot be makabel kedushin for herself when she's under bas mitzvah, but if she's a yavama, then she could be mekudeshes bal karcha. The din is yibum could happen bal karcha. So if he is born her, she becomes mekudeshes. She doesn't have to consent to that. And also, if her father marries her off, right? There's such a din that a father can be mekadesh's daughter. Another in Matames Bayala, Latama Mishkav Tachtain Ke'alyin, if she is a Nida, which is, Gemara is assuming a woman can become a Nida from any age. If she becomes a Nida, if she's over Shalish, she'll be Matama the Bayala, that he's Matama, that which he lays upon becomes a higher level of Tumah, while if it wasn't considered Bia, it was not considered he was Bana, but it was just Negea with her, then it will just become Tameh like a Rishon, which doesn't have the same level to be Metama other things. It can only be Metama Kela, it can be Metama Eichlanu Mashkin, but it can't be Metama Kela. So we'll have the higher level, it's considered a Bia, to Metama, the man who's born her, that he becomes Tameh with a higher level of Tumah of someone who's born in Nida. And this is l'kayin echeles b'truma. If she marries a kayin, she's allowed to eat truma, meaning that if she does the chuppah is only in order for a woman who's not a kayin to be allowed to eat truma, she has to have an asuin to her husband. So if she is nissus to a kayin, the bia that he has with her is considered a bia that she becomes she has nisuin to him. Ba'ala echad min apsulin pasla min akuna. And if one of let's say a guy or a mamzer is ba on a girl who's more than shalish, she becomes puzzled from the kahuna because the bia is a bia. And if the bia is not considered a bia, she's only becomes puzzled the kahuna if she's born a puzzle. But if it's not a bia, then he wasn't born her. It's like as if he just touched her. If it wouldn't puzzle a tukuna. And if someone was born and he's an erva to her, right? It's a father or if it's a brother or any erva, that person who was born her is going to get killed. She obviously doesn't get killed. She's not a bardas. She's going to be potter. She's too young. So Dr. Gemara. So finally, we're finally getting to our araya. Echad mikol arayis afilu behema. That's mashma. Any of the arayis, even if behema is ba on a girl, an isha who's over 3 years old. Over here, you only have Cullen. It's only Cullen. She's not going to get killed for it, right? There's no punishment to her. So it's similar to our din of a Yisrael that's ba on a behema b'shaygig that we said that was Rav Hamnuna's question. A Yisrael that's ba on a behema b'shaygig. So you only have Cullen. It's only embarrassing, but there's no takala because he doesn't get killed. So over here also, the girl is not going to get killed. She's less than bas mitzvah. And even so, we said any erva, including if she's ba, a behem is ba on her, and we said the animal gets killed. Saktamara, no. Even the mezidahi takala namiyika. Gemara says that since we're assuming here with the behem was not honest her, it seems, yeah. And so she's doing it willingly, but she's under 13 years old, 12 years old, so she doesn't get punished. So really, there is a takala. She should get punished. Rachmanu dechas aleh, Rachmanu dechas aleh, the Torah gave her a break because she's less than bas mitzvah, but she did the avera, she did it willingly, so it's considered as a takala. The Torah said that she doesn't have to get the punishment, but she really did the avera. But the behema, there's no reason for the Torah to give it a break. So we're talking about it. So this would not be the same as the case of Yisrael, who's baba shaygig, where there's no break, where the person was never chayiv at all. It's a very big chiddush, right? This is not the way we think of someone who's less than bar mitzvah or bas mitzvah. This Gemara is saying that really they did something b'mezid and they should be chayiv, and it's rachmana chasala. The Torah allows them not to get punished. I would have thought that someone who's not a bar das is a b'shaygig. They're always, by default, they're always a shaygig. The Gemara seems to be understanding it differently, which is very different than what I had thought. Tashma will bring a very similar ayah. Ben teisha shana v'yemechad. We brought this brisa that said that a bas shalosh shanim is considered a bia. Now we're going to talk about the din that a ben teisha shana v'yemechad, his bia is a bia. So habal yivim tekana, if he's born as yavam, it's kana because it's a bia. Ve'eni noisen get ashiyali, but however, and it's going to be a full-fledged kedusha. It's not just the rabbanon dika kinyan of yibam, and he's not going to be able to give a get until he's old enough because it's a full. He's married to her fully, and he can't be megarish someone before he's a gadol. Umatama kanida, latama mishkav tachtan kelyan. When he's born in nida, he's going to become tamei because this is a full-fledged. He's over 9 years old, so it's a real bia. Paisel ve'ena machal. If he's ba on a kohenes and he is someone who's let's say a mamzer or a guy, his bia is going to passel her lekuna. Ve'ena machal. If he's a kohen, he's not going to cause her to be able to be allowed to eat truma. Why is that? Because he's not bar mitzvah yet. Since he's not bar mitzvah, even though his bia is a bia, it's not. He can't stam as marry someone. He doesn't have a das to be able to become married to. So it's considered a bia, but it's not considered enough for her to be nesuah to him. If he's born a behema, the behema becomes possible to be brought on the mizbeach, like we saw before. The Torah says a pasuk specifically to say that a behema that was roveya is possible to be brought on the mizbeach. And if he's born a behema, the behema gets killed. And if if the zachar over Tess is born any erva, that erva is going to be killed. We said that the behemoth is niskalos al yadei. If he's born a behemoth, the behemoth is niskalos al yadei. So it's only takana. There's no, the boy is not getting punished. So you have the same test like we said before. Keeping the mezedu takala namiika. Since the boy did it b'mezed, which is a little more obvious in the case of a boy. Rachmanu dechasi luya. Allah di dechas rachmana behema lechas rachmana. Torah is only chas on him and not on the behema. Toshma. Davar acha. What about, we'll bring it right from my Mishnah. It's talking where he saw a behemoth going in the shuk, and he said, "This is the one who was niskal." So l'chayra, this is simply a case. This. It seems to be like we thought from the beginning. It's talking about only kalan without takala. Ma'alam in the sefer takala v'kalan. So the Gemara says the same question like we had asked by Rav Sheshes. For the fact it's talking about takala v'kalan, reisha kalan beloy takala. Maybe it's talking about kalan beloy takala, which is when Rav Sheshes had suggested it. It said the reisha is takala beloy kalan, which is what the Mishnah sounds like. According to Rav Amnuna, we're suggesting that it means kalan beloy takala. Ve'echidam Yisrael abal abehem b'shagig. Like, it's not a right. Say for the kol of a kolon, reish takal b'lei kolon, ve'echidami abal abehem b'kedabal minei Rav Sheshes. In the end, the ratio of the Mishnah has to either be kolon b'lei takala or takala b'lei kolon, and neither Rav Sheshes or Rav Amnuna can prove that that's what the Mishnah is referring to, because it's possible it goes like the other one. So we leave it up in the air. We don't know which case the Mishnah is referring to. So the Mishnah. Hamagadav ein chayiv. We're talking about the Isser of blasphemy, right? Which is to be Bavarach Hashem. So this Mishnah tells you how careful you have to be about this. You're not going to be chayiv yafresh Hashem until the person actually says out the Shem Hashem. Which the Mefarshim will say exactly what does he have to say. Does he have to pronounce the Yud Kei Vav Kei? He has to pronounce the letters as they are. Does that mean he just has to say Yud Kei Vav Kei? And when he's also being mavarach, obviously it's not just Bapasha doesn't mean saying it. The Gemara will contemplate that, but will reject it. When you have such a case of someone who's mavarach Hashem, every day, when you discuss the case, you don't use the Shem Hashem in discussing it. The Edom say it over, but they use a kinoi. They say Yud Kei Vav Kei, for example. They don't say out what the person said. They say Yaka Yosi es Yaki Yosi, instead of saying that he was mavarach the Shem. Now, as the Gemara is going to prove that the only way you're chayiv from a gadif is when someone is mavarach. He says that the Shem of Hashem itself should be used to be mavarach Hashem. That means use like a lashon of dam that the I don't even know how to express it. We have to say it so it should be clear. The Rebbeinu Shalom should be mavarach the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's like a double. He's using the kayach, like when you say the lashon of dam, right? You're damning someone. That's saying the power of Hashem should be used against someone. So he's saying that use that against the Shem itself. So, but you don't say that out in the Bezdin. You say Yosi Yakas Yosi. Yaka Yosi is Yosi. You say Yosi instead of the Shem Hashem, because you don't want to say it out. Nigmar Adin, when you get to the Gemar Din, at that point you can't play these games anymore. You can't kill someone with talking about other words, because then it could be that maybe Taka said Yaka Yosi es Yosi, which is obviously not a problem. Everyone, they send everyone out of the courtroom. They ask the only one of the Eidim, the older one of the Eidim, say exactly what you heard. And he says it. They stand up, a kairin, they rip their clothing, they rise kriya from having to actually hear such a thing said. The second aid says, I heard exactly like that. He doesn't repeat it twice. We just need one person to say it out so that the defendant can't say, I said the kinoi. So you have to have them say out exactly what he said, and then we know that that's what he said. But the second aid doesn't have to say it. He said, I heard the same thing. This third aid also says the same thing. The Gemara will discuss why we're talking about a third aid. Shame b'shame. The Mishnah said, and Yosi Yakes Yosi, he has to have used the shame to be Mavarach L'Shem. Minani Mili, where does this come from? Amar Shmuel, the Amakrav, and Noikiv Shame, the Noikiv Shame Hashem Moishumas, Roga Mirgamu Boy, the one who's Noikiv Shame Hashem, who's Makal Shame Hashem, is Moishumas, Roga Mirgamu, he's going to get Skila, Kala Eda, Keger Ezrach, like a ger and an ezrach, benakve shame you must. And we say a second time when he's naik of the shame, he's going to die. Naik of shame, benakve shame. It says twice. That means it has to be using the shame to be makalal, to be mavarach the shame. And it says you must. So how do we know that the lashon of naik, the lashon of klala, the chsev ma'akav lo'kava kel. This is from, I think, Bilam, right? Or, not Bilam. I think it's Bilam. What can I curse that the Rebbe Shalom is not cursed? So, you see, Nikiva is a lashon of cursing. The Torah says, you shouldn't be mavarach the shame. So maybe that's what it's talking about. How do you know noikiv means to, so that's what we would learn out, that noikiv means to be makal. Maybe it means to make a hole. Maybe it means you right when the Torah says neik of shame, we always talk about making a nekev to make a hole. It means you wrote down the shame Hashem and you made a hole in it. You punched a hole in it. Made a hole in the door. You should destroy the Avodah Zarah, but you shouldn't do that to Hashem. So what we're talking about here is a person gets misa for erasing the shame Hashem. So tomorrow being a shame b'shame v'leka. But we said it says naikev twice, so it means you use the shame Hashem to be mavarach the shame Hashem, and that's not possible if you're talking about just destroying the shame Hashem. Maybe you're talking about you put two papers with the shame Hashem and you destroyed both of them. That's what it means. You use the shame Hashem to mivarach the shame Hashem. That's not using one shame to destroy the other. It's just destroying two at the same time. So there's no relationship to the din of naikev that Mikal used the shame to be maka the shame. Maybe we're talking about where you wrote the shame on the edge of a knife, ubazaba, and used that to make a hole in the shame that you wrote down. So then you're using the shame to destroy the shame, which is the same thing as using the shame to mivarach the shame. Even though you wrote the shame Hashem on the knife, it's not the shame that's destroying it, it's the sharpness of the knife that you happen to write the shame Hashem, but the shame is not the one that's doing it. Maybe the chiyuv of misa, which is a very scary concept. Just from saying the shame Hashem, a person could be mechuyev misa. That they designated with names. So maybe it just means designate. When it says naikev, it means to say the shame Hashem. It's from the general chiyuv that you have to be afraid of Hashem, and saying the shame Hashem is a lack of yiras Hashem. Practical Gemara says two problems. First of all, you need to use the shame to be mavarach the shame. The Torah says Hashem lekecha tira. The azhara comes from the essay. The Torah says you should fear Hashem. Azhara essay lo shmei azhara. That's not called an azhara to mechayev emisa. Biba yisayim amakra v'yika v'yikalu. The memra the noikev klalu, and I could bring you another raya that noikev means mavarech, because the Torah says v'yika v'yikalu. It puts the two together. It's telling you that when the Torah says noikev is chayiv misa, it means that he's makal. Maybe you need both. Maybe naikev means one of these other things. It means making a hole through the shame, or it means just saying the shame. You have to do both. You have to do that plus be makal. Like salkadaitach. The chsiv hoises a makal says you take out the makal. But like chsiv hoises a neikav a makal. When it says you should take out with the einish, it only says makal. It doesn't say neikav and makal. Shamina chadi. Tan Rabban ish matam aloyma. Matam aloyma ish ish. It says ish ish twice. It says alikim loisakal v'nosik. I'm sorry, that's not where it is. V'noikav shem Hashem v'ragam. No. There's ish ish. Where's yud all the way down here? Ish ish ki yikal leikav v'nasa chetay. So what does it say ish twice? The rabbi says ayivdei kechavim. Shemuzar now bichas Hashem. It's coming to tell you that not just a yid, but a guy is also has azhara al bichas Hashem. It's going to be one of the daled mitzvahs b'nei noyach. Ve'ein haragan ela b'sayif. But they only get a misa of sayif. Shekol misa amur b'nei noyach ein ela b'sayif. Whatever misa b'nei noyach gets, they only get the chiyuv of sayif, which comes out that a oived kechavim, who's makal Hashem, gets a lighter misa than a yid. A yid gets skila, and skila kol hashitas is muchamer than sayif. But it makes sense. Because oived kechavim, we have lower expectations from them. Is this where we learn it out from? That from this pasuk of ish ish, mehasam nafka, Hashem zu birchas Hashem. When the pasuk says Vitzav Hashem alikim ala adam lema michaletz hagan oichel teyachel and bracious, which says we're going to see a brisa that says Hashem refers to being megant of the shame and saying no no Oived Gechav. Amar Rav Yitzchak Nafka Yitzchak al Rabbis is a kinuyin. Yitzchak Nafka says no, we need over here ish ish to tell you that Oived Gechav is also chayiv kinuyin. The Tanya ish ish ki yikal leikav v'nasa chatay mata malayim avalik farnema v'neikav shem Hashem moish yumas. What do you have to say? The ayat already says neikav shem yisrael. Lishanema v'neikav shem moish yumas yachol lo yechayiv el shem hamiyuchad bilvad. I would think he's only chayiv for the actual shame. Minan l'rabbis kol hakinuyin. How do you know that a person is chayiv for being makal all the kinuyin? Tamalayim ish ki yikal leikav mikama. That the Chachamim say, no, he's only chayiv for Shem Yuchad, for the Kini, it's only, and Azhara, he's only going to be chayiv Malchus, he's not going to get Misa. This sheet of what Rameh holds, that it's saying if you Kinuyim, a person is chayiv, that's not like Ramesha. Now, Ramesha, ben Noyach, Shebirach, as Hashem, be Kinuyim, the Rabbanon chayiv. We just said, according to Rabbanon, it's Azhara, it's only in Azhara. He says that the Ben Noyach Shabir Hashem he's going to be chayiv misa. My time and Amakra Kerek Ezach. Yeah, Ezach would be in Benikve Shem. Aval Kechav Mafilu Ikire. Only a yid is chayiv. Is you need that he has to say the actual Shem. But Aval Kechav is chayiv even with a kine. What? Yeah, right. If they say gosh them. They're chayiv misa according to this. No, that's not really true. They're not. That's not a makal Hashem. Sorry. It probably still has to be, but not with this, using the shame to be makal the shame. I don't know if it's just being makal. For a mayor, what does the mayor do with this gerga azrach that we said that the Rabbanan said to tell you even that's only by a yid, not by a guy. He holds it does apply to a guy. It's coming to tell you that they get different misas. I might say since they're included in the same isser that the yid are getting, maybe they get the same misa that the yid are getting. Kamash malam. He also, according to Yitzchak Nafka, he says the Rabbanan say Yechayev. What do they do? It's coming to be mechalik that Oived Gechav is going to be mechayev even if he doesn't use the shame Hashem to mevarach the shame. It could just be that he's mevarach the shame on its own, not like a yid. Ish ish lamali, and what did it say? Ish ish. The return class from the Adam. He doesn't darshan anything from the Chacham. Don't learn anything from the lashon of ish ish. Okay, I guess we'll do the Shev Mitzvahs B'nei Noach on Motzei Shabbos.